So how many people still get the daily newspaper delivered to their house every morning? Some, but not as many as there were before. This number is on the decline. Print has slowly been losing its grasp on the dissipation of news since the radio in the 1920s, to the television in the 1950s, and the internet in the 1990s. Today, the consumption of news has been totally revolutionized by social media. We are exposed to a constant flood of information on our mobile phones and computers. So the data shows that a lot more people now use online news sources rather than traditional newspapers to get their news, and data also shows that there's been a rise of the number of adults that use their mobile phone to get their news. People spend a lot of time on social media every day, and we're inevitably exposed to a massive amount of information. So Facebook, which has well over 1 billion users, is the most popular of the social media news sites and mobile apps. When you go to log out of Facebook, you scroll right over the trending stories bar, and if you're like me, you can't help but click on one of them before logging out. However, this often sparks the question, what really should be considered news? Sometimes I'll see news articles on there, like what Tom Brady had for breakfast, or what a costume a celebrity wore for Halloween, and things like that, which just goes to show that there's a massive amount of information out there for us to sift through and determine what's really relevant and meaningful. So moving on from Facebook, Instagram is also an app that exposes us to news on a daily basis. When I scroll through my feed, I might see things like the score of a sports game, or maybe the results of like a reality TV show, depending on whatever accounts you follow. So instead of people waking up and flipping through the morning newspaper, people now wake up, reach for their phones, and scroll through our social media news feeds to get information. So Twitter is another great example. Many major news agencies have Twitter accounts that have amassed millions of followers, and clearly it's advantageous to break news on Twitter, which is so much faster than breaking news online or using other sources. Even Snapchat is a way that we consume news on a daily basis. We see Snapchat stories of current events, and we can see articles under the Discover tab. So social media not only exposes us to a massive amount of news and information, but it's often the one that breaks the news to us first. These on the slide are a couple more well-known examples, but we see this all the time in our daily lives. For instance, you might see on Facebook an obituary to find out that someone has died, or you might first find the news that you have classes canceled because of snow on social media posts. Things like that happen all the time, and it goes to show that the internet and social media has really accelerated the pace that news is spread and stories are broken. So what are the consequences of this rapid pace of technology and the news spreading? First, people are becoming accustomed to the instant gratification and immediate knowledge that the online news sources have afforded us. Also, it has impacted the way that we interact with news. People share news articles and discuss the news online and debate about it in the comment section. This is kind of a funny example. The troublemaker says, I have something misguided and angry to say about this current event. I'm posting it here because I know it will start a giant debate and I'm super bored. Even though it's just an exaggerated example, it still goes to show how social media works in creating these heated debates about people that often post things rashly or post things that are ill-informed sometimes. So this shift is also tied with the rise of citizen journalism. Anyone can report news by sharing pictures or articles via social media. The emergence of sites such as the Odyssey allows people, just normal people, to share articles on social media, and the creation of cameras on mobile phones has allowed pretty much anyone to become a photographer. So not only can we discuss the news online instantly, we can also contribute to the news, which adds to the massive quantity of information that's out there. So all of these factors lead to the compromised quality of the news at times. Social media breaks the news to us first, but not always the most completely or reliably. The problem is that not everyone waits to get the full story before taking to social media to react to it. Information can get warped in the process, and news can be broken prematurely. All too often, we get lost in the overabundance of information that's out there. So, although it's great that social media can break news to us really quickly, it can be a double-edged sword for these reasons. If we carefully use discretion about what we post on social media before we share it, and if we carefully consider the veracity and relevance of the information we get on these sites, we can better navigate the information that's in news that we're exposed to through social media.